Welcome to your Journey to Joy podcast. I'm your host, Moira Gorski, and I'm on a mission to help you find joy in the chaos of life. As a retired nurse, multi-passionate entrepreneur, and mom of 4 adult children, I know what it's like to feel the overwhelm of it all and wonder if and when the joy will show up again. And I've learned it's up to us to go find that joy. On this show, you will hear inspiring stories from those who have overcome all kinds of life challenges, tips on how to stay healthy and vibrant during the ups and downs of life, and simple ways on finding joy in your own life. Let's face it, life is messy, yet when we travel together on this journey, support and encourage each other along the way, that joy starts to show up again. I'm so excited to lead you on this journey of you to find the joyful life that you deserve. Well, welcome to another episode of the podcast and welcome to season 2. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited that you are here. I am your host, Moira Gorski, and we are entering season 2. And I'm here to talk to you all about that and what the inspiration was to start this second season. It's really time to expand our message, expand our reach, and I'm just super excited about it. And I hope you are too as you continue to listen to what it is that I really want to share and share more of on this wonderful podcast platform. You'll see that the name of the podcast has changed from Juggling in the Chaos of Recovery and over to Your Journey of Joy. And let me start at the beginning. You know, in 2019, I had this inspiration to start sharing more. I have recovered from an eating disorder back in my college days, and I have a daughter that was struggling and with her own eating disorder that started in high school. I was learning a lot. I was learning that I needed to take care of myself during the stress of that time. When we have somebody in front of us, a loved one that is struggling, it really takes a toll on us. I love to help, and I was putting all of my energy into helping her and helping my business, my wellness business that I have, and my other kids. And that stress was getting to me, and I was learning a lot. I was learning that I needed to put my oxygen mask on first. And if you listen to those past podcasts, you heard that on there. But as I started to really go on this journey of more recovery myself and strengthening myself up, I met so many wonderful people that all had a story. You know, so many people have a story. And so I was inspired by those stories that I heard. I felt like I wasn't alone in my journey. And I wondered, what if I shared that out in a podcast, world? I had been fairly vocal on social about it. And I thought, this is a way to get that voice out more. And so that was really, I planned things out the beginning of 2019. And I launched February of 2020, so it's 3 years that we have been going strong here, and you guys have been coming and listening and supporting me, and I'm so, so, so grateful for that. And again, launched February of 2022, and we know what happened the next month, right? We entered into a pandemic time, which this podcast is not for the discussion of that, but what happened is it gave me a great time to connect with people because everybody was home, right? And I reached out to people and asked them to share their stories and asked them to come on my new podcast and share their stories of recovery and overcoming challenges and their stories of hope. And they did, and you did. And I'm so, so grateful for that. It was a great time to start and to really get going with getting these messages out. And, that message is always, my desire was always to send that message of hope out there, send that recovery is possible, and recovery from anything. It can be eating disorders and other types of addictions or codependency or just the overwhelm of life or narcissism or toxic relationships or whatever the case may be. But recovery is possible when we start to take care of ourselves and figure out what we need and ask for help and get the support that we need. And we heard those stories, and there's so many stories in the last 173 episodes. So many wonderful stories, some solo episodes and things like that. And what we've learned through that time, what I've learned through that time, and I hope that you've learned through that time, is that there is power in story. There is power in your story. There is power in other people's story. And your voice has value, and my voice has value, and my story, I know what my story is more and more every day. And, life is ups and downs, and there's a mess in there, but there's magic in the mess. And there's power in stories, and there's power in sharing that. And we learned that it's really important to have a morning routine. And the morning routine, again, you'll hear that repeated lots of times throughout the podcast, but you'll hear that in different episodes too that I did in the past. And go back and check those out. Morning routine that's filled with meditation and prayer and journaling. You can check out my journal and pick that up. You can look in the show notes and pick up a journal for yourself. Journaling is so important. It's a great form of free therapy, I say. And taking time to nourish ourselves spiritually, mentally, and physically in the way of our morning routine. We learned about things to put in our tool belt, right? Things like EFT and massage and yoga and breath work and going on retreats and the power of community and the power of reading and friends and asking for help and lots of things. The power of believing in a power higher than ourselves, the power of support groups and getting together with other people to share our journey there. And through it all, I continued to learn that, sometimes in those deep, dark days when things seem pretty tough, I was so thankful. I learned that part of the reason why I started this podcast, didn't know at the time, was for me, because I needed to hear those stories. I needed to hear from you. I needed to hear from those people that reached out and said, I want to share my story. And when I heard from them, those 2 years of the pandemic were some of the worst health times for our daughter. And so I was in a state of, yes, sharing hope, but I needed to hear that hope too. And I'm so grateful for all those connections and all those great stories. And I found that, I was learning during that time as I was creating my journal and choosing the title of my journal, which is called The Journey to Joy. There were times that I was waiting for the joy to come back. When are the happy days going to come, right? When's the joy going to return? And I was quickly realizing that it was up to me. It was up to me to go find the joy, to try new things, to reach out, to stretch beyond my comfort zone, to try some different new things that might bring me some joy, even if it was just finding a movie to watch that was pretty funny, that made me laugh, or maybe it made me cry, just to get out of the doldrums of the day and the pandemic and all of that stuff, right? Or maybe go into a dance studio and start ballroom dancing, or taking a ceramics class, or taking a dog for a walk, or volunteering, just lots of things. I learned that there is joy there. It's not an end game, like, oh, all of a sudden we're joyful one day, but it is a journey. And it takes us to start walking through the door, walking out the door, just taking a step forward to find things, to try things that bring us joy. And it's there. We can sit and say, woe is me, and look in the past and, oh, look at all of this stuff that I've gone through and our family's gone through, our friends, or whatever the case is. But I encourage people, and I encourage you to hear this, and I say it to myself too, we need to look forward into the future. We need to turn around and walk into the future, right? And there is joy in the future. And I'm here to say that life isn't always going to be a straight path, right? There's lots of challenges. There's lots of chaos. There's lots of ups and downs, and it's always going to be there. But what we choose, how we choose to show up, the positiveness that we choose to go into the day with, or the negative, what we choose to fill our mind with, what we choose to fill our environment with, that ends up impacting how we feel about the day, right? And I'm here to say that when we fill it, when we try new things and we go forward, we can find joy there. And really, when I look at what I do, what I've been doing for the last 23, 25 years in a wellness business, and I'm a brand ambassador for the Shackley Corporation. I'm a retired nurse, a practical nutrition advisor, and I've branded myself, partnered with the company that I trust the most, with nutritional supplements, with safe green cleaning products, with safe products to use in my home, in myself, take myself to use all around me. I've chosen the best products to use and to represent. And I also fell into this world of entrepreneurship. And I've been loving that for the last 23 years. That's something that brings me joy. I never expected it, but the freedom and flexibility and the ability to have something that I work on every day that gives me a sense of purpose and a sense of joy and a sense of the ability to really have an impact on somebody's life in a positive way. I love all of that. That brings me joy. And so when I was looking at things and I was thinking through the last month or so, I thought, and with the podcast, that's what I do. I help people along that journey of their life and that journey to joy. And I encourage people, again, I can help you. We're sometimes not joyful because we're aging and we don't feel so good. So I can help you with your health. I can help you create some healthy habits so that you can feel better throughout the day. I help people on the daily look at entrepreneurship and what they might want to do with entrepreneurship and starting a side gig or a main gig to have some extra income so they have more freedom to do the things that can bring them joy, right? The more money that we have, the more choices that we have, and the more times that we can step into those things that bring us joy. Things that bring us joy don't always have to cost a lot of money. I just got home from an hour and 15-minute walk, and I heard lots of birds singing and saw dogs walking and had a bit of peace, and that brought me a lot of joy. That didn't cost me anything. So it doesn't have to cost you, but what I've learned over this time of having my own business and having the freedom to help other people with that, the more income that I do have, the more impact I can have on the world, right? And the more things that I can choose to do, I'm able to ballroom dance and pay for lessons and treat myself to competitions here and there in a new sparkly pretty dress because of the income that I make, because I'm able to help people find joy in their life, in the chaos of aging or aging parents or the stress of life and things like that. And I do that too with the podcast. I really want to share these stories of hope to give people that sense of being that it's all going to be okay. I'm going to start doing some retreats and I'm going to start inviting people into this broader community. And that was the inspiration of changing the podcast, but just going on to the second season. And so there's lots of things in store for us together, and I'm so glad that you're here. And I want you to think about, as I was thinking about this too, let me just take a couple seconds to talk about this. When I was thinking of joy, joy just keeps coming up. And actually, I was at an event a few weeks ago in San Diego, and someone walked up to me and she looked at me and she said, "You are just pure joy." I felt that in my heart. I took it in. I received it. She didn't know me at all, but that's what she felt when she hugged me and said hello. And that joy word keeps coming up. And as I was talking to my friend Pam about joy and renaming my podcast, she said, "Well, why can't joy be the journey of you?" I was like, well, that's it, right? That's what I really love to do. We are on this journey of discovering ourselves. I want to help you be led along this journey of you. Let's take a deep dive. Let's pull back the curtain. Let's peel the onion. Let's figure out what we need. Let's sit and talk and listen and share things with others. Again, we're going to hear lots of inspirational stories like you've heard before. Stories of recovery, stories of people overcoming all kinds of hardships and things like that, overcoming addictions, like I did before. I'm going to continue to share those stories. And if you have a story to share, please contact me so that I can put your story on this podcast. There's going to be lots of those stories, but I'm going to share more about those healthy tips. People ask me that, can you just share more about how we deal with the stress? What are some things that we can do so that we can age gracefully? If it's supplementation or with other different exercises or, again, courses that we can take or books we can read and things like that. So I'm going to share more tips about that. Again, I've been in that space for 23 years and I have so much knowledge on wellness and all those things that I've learned along the way, and I continue to learn, even if it's just how we make a healthy smoothie so we can start our day with energy and getting the amount of protein that we need. As we age, we don't absorb our protein as much as we did when we were younger. So it's really necessary to get the right form of it. And well, that's for another day and all that. But so I'll be sharing that and just simple ways to find joy. And I'm going to bring some people on that talk about their journey to joy and how they've discovered ways to step into things that are giving them joy so that you can get that inspiration too. And again, there's so much more, but I'm just so excited. I'm just sit in gratitude for 3 years. That's now going on to 4 years and on and on. I tell people that I said, I'm just going to keep talking until there's no one else to talk to or nothing else to say, which I hope just continues. I hope this just continues to go on and on. There may be a third season, but for now we're stepping into the second season because I feel very called to just, again, say we can get through recovery. We're all on a journey together. Let's take the journey together. Let's take the journey together and support each other, encourage each other, share our stories. Don't be afraid to share your story. Be brave, step forward. And remember, don't forget to ask for help because it's okay. Remember, I've said this on the podcast so many times. I realized that I didn't ask for help much because I took asking for help as there was something wrong with me, that I wasn't capable. But sure, I was capable. I get stuff done, right? I get shit done. That's who I am. But I realized that it's okay. There are times that we need support. I like to call it support instead of help. There's times that we need support. And sometimes that's going out for an hour and 15-minute walk because I've been in front of the computer all day and I need that support for myself, knowing that I need that. Or I'm going to go take a bath later on, or I do some hypno breath work. Or maybe it's calling a friend and inviting them over and say, hey, you want to make some dinner together? We'll open a bottle of wine and we'll play some games. That's what I did last weekend with a girlfriend. She came over and we cooked together, and my husband and I and my daughter sat down and ate together, and then we played Rummy Cube for the rest of the night and laughed and had a great time. Oh, what a joyful evening that was. Sometimes that's what we need, is we need to reach out to our friends. Sometimes we need a support group. Sometimes we need to call a medical professional. Sometimes we need time to go on a retreat and just get away. So that will continue to be the story here. And I am so grateful that you're on this journey with me. And I hope that you will continue to come back and listen and share this podcast with friends, because as I've always said, continue to share, because there are other people that need to hear the stories. And that person might be you, and that person might be me, and it might be your neighbor or your friend or your sister or something like that. But continue to share, because again, this life is not always easy. The path is not always straight. Often isn't. It's pretty bumpy. It's up and down. And yet when we stay together and encourage each other and choose joy, then it's good, right? It's a great journey. And so let's do it together. We'll see you next time. Again, thanks for being here, and we'll talk to you next time. Hey there, ready to live a more joyful life? Considering connecting with someone who can help you? If so, I'd like to be that person. I offer a free consultation where we determine where the chaos is in your life and how you can learn to bring more joy each and every day. Visit my website, moiragorsky.com, or simply email me, moira@moiragorsky.com, with more joy in the subject line. I look forward to connecting, and I'm here to say there will always be some chaos, which requires a little juggling, but you can find joy and live your life intentionally filled with that joy. Let me help you on your journey to joy, and that's joy, the journey of you.